Fulfillment.
Yeah.
I've watched some of your content and you talked about success and what that truly means versus fulfillment and the journey that you had. And Simon, you've had a great career working with some of the biggest brands in the world, Nike, Motorola, things of that nature, and writing for them. But you had this journey of not necessarily feeling fulfilled.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? I feel like folks would dream to work for companies like that. Why do you think?
I mean, thank you for the question. And also, I just want to say I really kind of empathize and feel for everyone listening to the podcast, because it's really hard as a young entrepreneur or as a young person in the world to make your way, to know which way's up. What the hell should you be doing? What's your purpose? How do you find that alignment between who you are and what you do in the world? And for me, I spent a lot of time traveling around the world, living out different versions of success. I did a Bachelor of Arts degree, a law degree, and then I was in the advertising business in the UK and then in the US. And what I, in hindsight, realized, Josh, is that I kept living out these different versions of success, not really knowing who I was. And when it showed up was when I was in my mid to late 30s. I had a young family, 2 young kids, and I'm living in LA and I'm walking around my backyard going, why the hell am I so unhappy? You know, I've lived these versions of success, but it didn't matter whether I'm winning a shiny statue for writing a Nike commercial or running a large global account as a worldwide creative director on Motorola for Ogilvy, their ad agency. Something was missing. And about 3 weeks after that, Josh, I happened to walk into my kitchen in LA and there was an answering machine, which shows you what an old guy I am. There was an answering machine, 5 messages in it. And the first message was my mum kind of yelling down the phone because she lives in Sydney and she was trying to reach me in the States, in LA. And she's like, Simon, wake up, pick up the phone. And the next message, beep, Simon, wake up, pick up the phone, beep. Another one, my sister yelling down the phone because they're trying to reach me in my bedroom to wake me up from the answering machine in the kitchen. 4th message, my mum, upset, Simon, please pick up the phone. And then finally the last message, and mum just said, Simon, dad died. He was calling to say goodbye. Call us when you wake up. And I hadn't seen my dad for 5 years. We had a bit of a difficult relationship, which I think a lot of men do with their fathers and all that sort of thing. And I got to tell you, Josh, like the collapsing of a whole night of phone calls on their side into 45 seconds as answering machines, messages one after another, was a bit of a blow to the gut. I got to be honest. I was like winded by it. I was like, because he'd been sick for a long time. Those words, wake up, took on a profundity for me that I didn't even think she intended. My mum was just like, wake up when you get out of bed in the morning, which I did. But I took it to mean something much more, which is wake up to what the hell you're doing in life. I wasn't challenged professionally so much anymore, or I wasn't finding the meaning I needed. And then I was destabilized kind of emotionally because dad's passing. And it was a gift in hindsight, even though it was so tragic with dad passing, in the sense that I got out of my own way for the first time in my life, Josh. I got out of my own way. I was so all over the shop. I didn't know what the hell, which way it was up. I was just so confused. And then a new journey kind of showed up for me in terms of business as a force for good. And so it was just a really, really unpredictable road. But I think ultimately when I look back, I was looking for more meaning in my life. And I didn't just want to sell things for the sake of selling them. And I didn't want to look for fulfillment by what others said outside. I wanted to fill myself up by what I give to others. And that's where fulfillment comes from. It's an inside out job. It's not outside in.
Right, 100%. So it's a few things that I want to unpack there. First off, you talk about validation and getting it from these titles. Yeah. And it's an inside job first to fulfill yourself rather than relying on others to tell you, oh, wow, you have a great job. You're great. Or even them telling you, oh, you have a bad job. You're terrible. Either way, if you fulfill yourself from within, it doesn't matter what any opinions mean outside of yourself.
It's exactly right. And I think I'll speak for myself, but maybe some of your listeners can identify with this. I think we hide from the work we've got to do on ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we put a Band-Aid or a Scotch tape or a plaster over it with an award or a statue or a recognition or a win in a game. When on the inside, you're insecure, you're unsure, you're unhappy, you're depressed. And I think you kind of just keep papering over it with these external validations until some point in your life, it shows up and you've got to look that square in the face and say, listen, I got to grow. I got to do some work. I got to show up differently in the world. And it's really hard and it's private work and there's no reward other than kind of how you feel on the inside over time. But then that transforms how you show up in the world.
100%. And usually when it happens, it's something that punches you in the face.
Oh, I was an idiot.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's pain where it's like, I can't hide from this anymore. In order to grow from this pain or this lesson, whether it's a, father passing, best friend passing, losing a job, breakup, whatever the case may be, that challenge actually reveals the work to the point where you have to put the work in order to get past the problem and wake you up, right?
No, really well put. I mean, I've taken a few knocks in my career, and we all do. It doesn't matter if it's a sporting career, an entrepreneurial career, some really heavy knocks that kind of floor you. And someone said to me once, I was like, why did that happen? Or I'm kind of, complaining about it. And they just said, some nuts are harder to crack.
Yeah.
And you really have to take a heavy knock to wake you up and to see the work that you've got to do. And there's that other expression, I can't remember whose it is, but like the cracks are where the light gets in.
Yeah.
When you open up, that's where you can start to reveal the work that you've got to do.
Yeah, 100%. And so I guess how long did it take for you to kind of detach from the identity of being at these amazing companies, having an amazing career, to actually going in a direction that you knew would fulfill you?
It wasn't that long, but I will say this. In the last, 15 years of my career, I've been lucky enough to be around a lot of well-known people and high-profile people, whether they're speakers, athletes, whatever it might be. And I tell you, none of us know what we're doing. None of us get it right. No one's sitting there at 20 with a roadmap and it all falls into place. So if you're a younger person looking ahead, just know that we're all as lost as each other, and take sort of heart in that. But I about 3 weeks after that happened, and I was kind of in this churn of emotions, I read a speech that Bill Gates gave at the World Economic Forum that year. It was 2007, 2008, the big meltdown, the big economic meltdown that was happening all around the world. I don't know if, some folks remember it, but I certainly do. And everyone was losing their homes, they were losing their healthcare, they were losing all their hopes, and all around the world, Greece, Iceland, the Gulf states, and all over the US. And the speech said the private sector business needs to show up differently, creating a lot of problems out there, and we're uniquely equipped to solve for them. So what are we going to do? Having run large pieces of business like Motorola and launched the Razr phone and things like that back in the day, and having kind of been a writer with others at the ad agency Wieden & Kennedy on big movements around sport and so on, I thought, what if you took that power of narrative and story and movement building that you see in popular culture, that you see in so well in brands like Nike, what if you applied that to business as a force for good? And so I thought I'd answer Bill Gates' challenge, because he said, how do we do this? And I spent 3 years writing a book called We First, How Brands and Consumers Use Social Media to Build a Better World. And this was when there was only Facebook, and it was a few months old. There was no Twitter, no Instagram, no WhatsApp, no Pinterest. It was like, what could happen if we could have a dialogue between fans and sporting teams, between customers and brands, between citizens and institutions? And I thought there could be huge potential there. And so the book came out, it did really well, and that started my company like 13 years ago.